A brief message from your friendly neighborhood editing Jordan. We tend to try to keep things pretty PG-13 around here, but this is an improv podcast. So, who knows what we're going to say. Sometimes we throw in some swearing, some sexual content, and some violence. So, as a general warning, viewer discretion is advised. Also to be noted, the opinions stated about a certain tabletop role-playing game are just that, our opinions. We love the game and we like talking about it. So, any criticisms are really just all in good fun. That being said, wizards, please hire us. All right, with that out of the way, let's get on with the show.
I see you're still afraid of women.
That is unrelated.
That's a different topic for a different episode.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what I'm afraid of, guys?
What? What are you afraid of? Tell me.
Taryn living in your walls?
Well, no, I've actually grown quite accustomed to that after several years, but...
That's nice.
What if I move this?
No, I heard a rumor that was really... It was like a dread fear. It wasn't like a fear, but it was like a no, please, dear God, no. So you guys remember a few weeks ago, we did the last Unearthed Arcana, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was, we really didn't like it. If you haven't watched that episode, I highly recommend you go back and watch it, because it was a doozy.
Yeah.
That's one word for it.
We had a lot of issues with it. Well, I heard this terrifying rumor that Wizards has already made another one. And it's been like 2 weeks, bro. I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Levi, please tell me this was just a bad dream.
No, I wish it was, but like I heard people talking about it and I didn't.
No.
I did some like digging around and I think it might be true, but I'm not sure.
The all-encompassing sense of dread that just enveloped my being. Oh my God.
I did watch a VHS tape that people said was cursed, and 2 weeks after you watch it, Wizards will make a new UA.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So it's your fault.
Pertuset.
How could
I
you
didn't think it
do
was
this
real.
to us?
I just wanted to watch the hidden episode of King of the Hill.
Was it subbed or dubbed?
Dubbed.
And what was the hidden episode about?
I couldn't tell. I can't speak Swedish.
Oh. Well, regardless, we have a predicament on our hands, gang, because I've put the PDF file in this chat. And you know what we have to do?
We got to get the Ouija PDF file.
We're going to have to review it.
No.
Stiff as a board, light as a feather, stiff as a board, light as a feather.
Just don't open the door, then the murderer can't get in.
Wizards, wizards, wizards.
He's right behind me, isn't he?
Ah!
Oh, that's just Taryn.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to plaster up the wall hole. Wait, I need to go fix that.
Monster dorm. Hey everybody, welcome to the Nat One Podcast, aka Nope, because nope, you're not gonna want to hear what we're about to have to say. I'm Pertuset.
I'm Levi.
And I'm Jordan.
I think I got sunburnt from Ren Fair.
What?
I know, there wasn't even any sun hardly.
Well,
I
you
just
were
looked at-
outside all day. Whether there was visible sun or not, you still had UV exposure.
I didn't think about it. And then when I was shaving just a moment ago, I saw redness on my nose. And I was like, oh, well, I don't feel it, so I guess it's not that bad.
Well, yeah, we were half joking in the intro, audience. Wizards has come out with another UA. This is true. It exists, and we are going to review it today.
They really can't even let us rest in Spooky Month.
Yeah. They
They
were quick with this one.
This is coming out in October, so we are still scared. I, for one, am scared of change. So this better not.
There you go. Yeah.
That was my joke I was saving. This better not be a great big 1D&D. Actually, we're changing everything brand new. Nothing's the same. Actually, I'd prefer that. But still, don't do it. I'm not ready.
I'm scared of change, but also scared of them just re-releasing 5e as a new source book.
As long as they don't throw pocket change at me, I'll be all right.
Well, this UA is brought to you in part by this UA is called bastions and cantrips. And none
So
of
it is.
us have like really read this yet. We're all going in dry. None of us have touched on this yet because it's actually like pretty new as of recording. Sometimes we let it simmer for a minute when we record it, but this is like, this
a
is
couple
3 days
days.
ago it came out as
October
of
5th.
recording. So this one, it seems from the name and from just looking at it vaguely, this is all about places to live, bastions for the party, and cantrips. They have messed with cantrips.
I wanted you to give that a dumbed down name as well. Spells that don't cost a spell slot. Cantrips.
Yeah. So, let's get right into it, shall we?
Yeah.
This is playtest material, if you didn't know that.
First off, what are your expectations with a name like this? Because this is one of the first UAs that isn't just a redesign of something old, at least half of it. As far as we know, again, disclaimer, only 5e players, and we're not super great at listening to all the books. So if there's a Bastion rule from some book set somewhere, either in 5th edition or otherwise, we know not of it.
Dylan, let us know.
Core. Yeah. This is now supposedly
aware of it
under
as of right now.
So then with that, what's your expectations for Bastions at least? And maybe also the cantrip part. I have to think on that as well.
For me, I'd say, a bastion, I'm just reading the little subtext that it gave right there that says, I'll read it for the audience. The bulk of this article introduces a new subsystem for bastions. It includes everything you need to introduce bastions to your game. I'm guessing that a bastion, obviously, is supposed to be a bastion, a home for the players that is defensible. So I'm thinking that it's going to be roughly something. If they're working with something that's familiar enough, but trying to make something new out of it, this is going to be kind of like a build your own dungeon, but for the party to live in type deal. That's what I'm thinking from this. Maybe that's not what I'm expecting, but that's like the vibe my brain puts to it upon just thinking about that in the moment. What I think it should be is a place that the players can be where they have near, because the DM ultimately has the final say on everything, but near guaranteed safety from outside forces at all times. Somewhere where they know they can be safe and relax for once. That's what I think at least the word bastion implies to me. Huh? We did also, Pertuset and I did go to Ren Fair today, so our brains are kind of a little fried. We've been up since 8 a.m. and we're recording this pretty late at night.
I cleaned my entire apartment today, so I am also fried. Oh, but I do actually have an idea for not expectations, but wishful thinking for regarding bastions. Since it's like a stronghold and a safe place for your adventuring party, ideally, I would think that maybe this update would include some kind of guidelines for running downtime, like resources expended for gaining new skills and training and interacting with the world. That's not because as much as we love role-playing downtime, sometimes you have like a 2-week block where it's like, all right, you're doing this. It's not necessarily something that you can talk through, but everybody's doing things to benefit. And I don't think there's really necessarily standardized rules for running that kind of stuff for like what
I was about to say
are expended.
I agree with you, Jordan, but that also is raising a red flag for me because of critiques we had on the last one, which is there are rules for that in Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Oh, is I was gonna say, is it in the DMG?
They could do that, and they have two options if they do that. Is they could just copy and paste it from Xanathar's like they did in the last book, and we really didn't like that, and I probably wouldn't like it if they did it in this.
Yeah.
Or they could just make a whole new thing. I feel like they'll probably copy and paste a little bit, but I don't know. Or they might not at all. I could be surprised.
This is wishful thinking on my part. They may not even mention it. Nobody may have thought to like put those two together. But I feel like if you're talking about having a homestead for your adventurers, the ways in which they use it may be important to those like set of rules.
Just add a well.
I did. I'm gonna say let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater here. We were upset they used Xanathars all the time last time because it was just a reset to 5e as it was, not because we inherently hate Xanathar rulings. They're usually really good, actually. That's
my problem was making their other source books and additional things obsolete by just adding them into the
gun
one.
a little bit. I'll say that. I was jumping the gun a little bit.
If they include a Xanathars thing in here, I will be happy in this instance.
Okay.
Because it's an optional rule that is now becoming core. That is a cool one that we like. You even just said you were excited for, Jordan. So
I think that for this one, because this seems to be something that's actually brand new, we should probably read just a little bit, not all of it, obviously, because there's way too much to read for the entire podcast. But I think we should read little snippets that are important so that the audience can also get bits of them as we go along.
You read page 2, I'll read page 28.
Okay.
There's only 20 pages here. 23. No. Yeah, I don't really have any expectations going in. I expect a Bastion, although by the same token that Levi expects them or hopes for them to perhaps be a complete, nice, safe place for the party, I want there to be the holes for the DM to screw with it.
Well, that's my thing is I think that always exists just because the DM has final say in anything ever. So
like ours literally has a hole in the roof from a shark attack.
True. Or I'm talking about like you give the players like a perfectly great Bastion, but the only weird thing is there's a mirror in the basement. You don't know what for. And then eventually there was a sewer man.
What?
I don't know. The moral of the story? There was a sewer man.
There was nothing to do with the mirror at all, actually. The sewer man came from the toilet.
It was a red herring.
Or when your Bastion blows up because somebody tried to hide a god inside of it.
Exactly.
All right. So, well, I'll read a little bit of this first snippet then.
Okay, you go for it.
A bastion is a location that belongs to a player character, a home, a stronghold, a place of power that the character nurtures and develops over the course of the campaign. Skipping forward a little bit. It is up to the DM to decide whether bastions are available. This is a completely optional rule, like feats, like multi-classing, which also means that probably most DMs will be like, bastions are best suited to campaigns that allow characters to return to their bastions during intervals when they're not actively adventuring. Bastions are intended to be havens for characters who own them, although random events might test a bastion from time to time. The bastion can only be destroyed in 2 ways. See the Fall of a Bastion section.
We aren't at the Sea of a Bastion Fall section yet.
This is quickly not sounding like a word.
Most importantly,
cantrip.
A bastion is a creative playground for a player and a shared storytelling space in a campaign. DM should be as permissive as possible with the stories player tells them their bastions, but players should know their control only goes as far as the character's larger story, blah, blah, blah. The DM has final say, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. It'd be nice to have a home, I suppose. We'll see.
You can get defenders and hirelings, and you can put gold into it. There's a little design note.
And they say that they want you a new way to use your gold, but they want you to feel happy by using it and not make it feel like a mortgage payment. That's the actual mortgage text in the design note. That's what it says.
Yep. As opposed to feeling like the mortgage payments.
I'm okay with that, I think. It's so hard to like work on this stuff because how much people play complete canon D&D versus homebrew D&D.
I think I like that design note of GP expenditure because I feel like that incentivizes the DM to be a little bit more like, okay, here's money. Because then that if he or she is intending to give the player a bastion, because then he knows that they'll probably sink a good deal of that money into the bastion and then he won't have to worry about them running around with $10 million every day.
Damn, we could have had such a cool place in Vivia too.
Because I feel like both Pertuset and I have felt the repercussions of our own actions based off of the amount of gold we've given
only
certain characters.
One time I did, and that's because I did math wrong. That was the only time. Otherwise, I was fine with the gold given. Because gold, honestly, that's a whole other topic for another day. But like money, used in games is as important as the DM makes it. So your characters can have a bajillion zillion dollars, but if like the world is an apocalypse, who cares?
True.
I mean, honestly, other than Taryn feeding gold routinely to the old man we found on the side of the road, we really haven't used money that much.
That's what I was
Exactly.
talking about. That was my main thing.
But also, if you were a DM that chose to, you can make it to where the players are getting copper per quest, and that's like it.
True.
So gold is completely up to the flow of the DM, honestly.
You're giving me ideas for my campaign. I'm
You're
only
welcome.
going to pay my players in copper.
Give them little pennies
Yep.
in real life and be like, as a treat. Moving on. The Bastion has turns.
What?
As time passes in the campaign, characters take Bastion turns.
Oh my god, it does. Wait. What?
Yes, I'm reading
There's
this.
a
I'm
section
reading
called
it.
Bastion Turns.
To reflect the activity occurring in their bastions, whether or not the characters are present. A bastion turn occurs every 7 days of in-game time, though the DM can alter their frequency. On a bastion turn, a character can issue orders to the special facilities in their bastion or issue the maintain order to the entire bastion. Interesting.
Okay.
I like that. It's going to make downtime cooler, hopefully. Let's read on. How they work.
Should we talk about how you can get a bastion?
No.
We can jump back up to that. We'll jump back up to that here in a minute.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm interested in how they have a turn.
Okay.
By default, which implies that you can have a really fast bastion. Bastion turns occur every 7 days.
Well, my bastion turns only 1 day, so
it's the hyperbolic time chamber from Dragon Ball.
we souped our bastion so that it actually is 7 times faster than the average bastion.
Let's see some typical situations. Jordan, take it away with the weather.
Okay. So the way that bastion turns work, the characters that are on a long journey away from their bastion, after the characters have been away for 7 days, you might say time for a bastion turn. You can resolve to maintain the order for your bastion and then roll for events. When characters spend 7 days or more in their bastion between adventures, you might say you have 6 weeks to spend in your bastions. Go ahead and resolve 6 turns. So that's cool. You can do them all at once. Characters return to their bastions in the midst of an adventure. You might say you have just enough time to issue a new order if you'd like. The characters are adventuring near their bastion or spending every night in their bastion. You may say it's been a week since your last bastion turn, so you can take a new one. So that's interesting for how time kind of passes.
Yeah.
And
And below that, it immediately talks about changing the length of turns.
Yeah, I was scrolling. You might want to slow the pace of bastion turns if the characters have a long period of downtime between adventures, say 6 months or more. You might call for a bastion turn every month instead of every week.
Very nice.
That's nice. Aim for about 6 to 8 bastion turns per level.
That's
Yeah, that's completely situational.
Don't tell me what to do.
Too many rules. Take it back.
Well, that one wasn't really a rule. It was just a suggestion.
Big Brother crazy out here, man. Big Brother.
I can't believe it's 1984.
Literally 1384.
But I enjoy this because I do think a common problem for real that we both faced in our campaigns that we've ran, at least as a group together, is the passage of time is way shorter than I think you and I both wanted it to be.
Yeah.
From start to finish.
Because I think both of us, we have this grand overarching story of these things that are happening that are world-shaking events. But then, and in the real world, they take years to complete. These campaigns have taken multiple years for us to complete. But in actual game time, Vivia 3 took place over the course of a year?
It was less than a year, which was my
2 and half a year.
Yeah.
Or maybe 8 months at most.
And then only because one thing we did time jumped us 3 months, Olympus is also going to be roughly about a year probably in world time. So I think this is good because it allows Well, it doesn't allow, because you can always allow things, but it makes it easier to justify like big events happening that in the real world would probably take a large amount of time to happen, rather than being like, oh, well, in the one day you guys went and did this thing, like 3 cities fell to the demon horde.
The apocalypse happened. Good job, guys.
Yeah. Instead, you can be like, oh, well, in the 4 weeks while you guys were in your bastion, like resting and suiting up and stuff, another city fell to the demon horde, stuff like that. It makes it a little bit more, it makes it make a little bit more sense. It makes the passage of time feel like it flows more correctly. And it makes campaigns feel like they last longer. And it could be good for like RP stuff where you could have characters be like, oh, well, during this month that we were in the Bastion together, maybe our characters bonded a little bit. And you could like have behind the scenes talk between players to discuss things like that. And it could help with stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have thoughts. But let's read on in case my thoughts get addressed later on. Do you want to learn how we get a bastion now, or?
I figure we could just go over it
I
briefly.
guess, okay. Go ahead.
So if you allow bastions in your campaign, characters acquire their bastions. Everyone gets one. When they reach level 5, interesting.
We can't have one group one?
Interesting. I think it's
upsetting.
odd that it's specifically level 5. You and the players can decide together how these bastions come into being. Character might inherit or receive a parcel of land. They might take a pre-existing structure and refurbish it. It's fair to assume work's been going on behind the scenes of the campaign during a character's early adventuring career, so the bastion is ready for use at level 5. I don't think that's a bad rule. I just think I'm going to completely disregard it. As a DM, I just think I don't care.
Brewing. I don't want people to design their characters around a bastion.
Yeah, I will give them the
This is
bastion when I want to give it to them.
I'm still questioning the individual bastions. Because
Yeah.
I feel like why would you do that when you can just have it like, I feel like that's more of a party thing. What D&D party splits up and goes and lives separately in downtime? Who
maybe it's like a
that?
cul-de-sac.
They're all in the circle around the like turnaround.
Yeah, wizard to fighter. Notice you haven't mowed your lawn very much recently.
Your mailbox is actually not compliant with the HOA rules that we set
True.
whenever we started this.
The Horde of Ancients already is filled in there, isn't it? HOA. That's our party name, Horde of Ancients.
The shape, style, and function of a character's bastions are up to them to determine. For instance, wizard build tower, cleric build shrine, fighter build fortified keep, rogue build guild hall, or lodge.
Because we can't be original.
No, you're not allowed. Paladin might have a similar bastion to a cleric shrine, but it might be as fortified as a fighter's stronghold. But at the same time, again, these are just them giving suggestions. Because like we have said many times, you don't think about it when you play the game, but there are a lot of people who just play based off of what the books say you're allowed to do. So I know we don't a lot. We use a lot of homebrew, and we work fast and loose with the rules. But there's a good chunk of the player base that they're going to be like, well, I don't know what we're allowed to do with this thing, so let's consult the books. And then they are like, oh, well, I'm a cleric, so I should build something shiny or something like that. This isn't Wizards saying you have to do that by any means, but they're just giving suggestions. Not every character needs to have a bastion. What? You just said we all get one at level 5.
I sell mine.
No!
I'm just going to live in somebody else's basement.
That is what the next paragraph is reading about.
Every bastion contains basic and special facilities, which encompass everything from kitchens to bedrooms to menageries to laboratories. Character can add facilities. You can spend money on it. Each bastion begins with 2 special facilities, and a character adds additional facilities reaching levels 9, 13, and 17. Again, completely neutral on that rule. I'm probably never going to use it. I will probably use the special facilities, but I will just say they can add them when they have the money and resources to add them, not at level 9, 13, and 17.
Makes sense.
Now, I raise you. You've heard of key points. You've heard of meta magic points.
I don't know why, but the way you're saying this is making me think of someone being like, have you heard of cryptocurrency?
You've heard of all sorts of different points in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Let me introduce you Bastion points, BP, if you will.
Huh? Wait, oh no. I scrolled down.
So the special facilities in a Bastion generate BP. They actually call it that in parentheses. That's funny. During a turn, depending on the facility and the Bastion order issued to that facility. Makes sense. Players responsible for tracking. Okay. They can't be transferred between characters or their Bastions. That makes just sense. You can't be like, I cleaned the bathroom, so here, take my clean bathroom point. Like, what? A character can spend Bastion points to acquire magic items from their Bastion or other special rewards.
Oh.
Oh
my God, you guys. This is The Simpsons tapped out, but D&D. You do tasks and your Bastion generates revenue and you collect it.
Crazy taxi. Bastion points are an abstraction, reflecting the benefits characters accumulate when their Bastions are operating. What? I thought that's normally called money. Exactly how amassing and spending Bastion points leads to a character acquiring a magic item is up to the player's imagination. That is really okay.
I pulled it out of the wall.
It seems like it.
It was under my bed.
So first off, what's a Bastion point? Don't know. What happens when you get enough? Magic item. How? Fill in the blanks. That's on you.
Wizards is simultaneously making this too specific and too vague at the same time.
Aren't they so good at that?
Overall, generally, I think this is a really cool idea, but getting into the semantics,
some of the specifics are not great.
Yeah.
Here's some suggestions it supplies. Perhaps the Bastion Hirelings spread the word that the character is looking for an item. With sufficient time and goodwill built up in communities, the item finds its way to the Bastion as a gift. Perhaps the Hirelings work tirelessly to create the item. Today's subject.
Yeah.
All right. You can also accumulate them. I'm not going to read all that. Someone else can if they want.
There's a table for how many battle points you have to have for certain items. 20 is a common item, 70 is an uncommon item, 250 is a rare item, 350 is a very rare item, and 700 is a legendary item.
And they have level prerequisites.
They do have level prerequisites, but again, I feel like I won't care. But also, it seems like that's a tall order to get. I mean, I don't know how many you get per. Oh wait, okay. We should probably
read that part. Yeah, you didn't read that
Bastion
part.
Points. Okay. Each facility indicates. So if a character issues the maintain order to the Bastion, each special facility instead generates 1d4 Bastion points. That still seems like it could take a really long time to get up past uncommon. So honestly, if you're wanting to use the numerical system, seems pretty balanced out in my opinion. Especially if you're only doing this 4 times a month in World. Okay. Characters can use money to. Okay. You can use 25 gold pieces to allow the player to roll a die for that Bastion to generate twice and use the higher result. Okay. So you can game it a little bit. But you can't just force it to keep generating out points. There's a set number it can generate every maintenance turn. Okay. Again, this is a rule that, like, I don't know if I'd use it, but it is there for the people that do want to use it. And I don't think it's unbalanced, per se.
Oh, wait, the magic items are level locked.
Huh?
I was reading a little bit ahead. So using the points, you can use them to cash in for an item only when you level up.
Oh.
Each time a character gains a level, they spend their Bastion points to acquire a single magic item. Any magic item acquired in this fashion must be approved by the DM. The Bastion point cost of each magic item is based on the item's rarity, as shown in the table that we just explained.
Okay. Well, once again, for me, I'm just like, okay.
You're just playing a sorcerer now.
Yeah,
Oh boy, I leveled up. Can't wait to change my spell list. All right, but it seems like there's some other cool ways to use it. Jordan, why don't you read the other uses and go also take the facilities as well, because I don't want to read it.
Gee, thanks. On gaining a level, a character can spend 10 bastion points to ensure that word of their heroic deeds spreads through the region around their bastion. For the next 7 days, the character has advantage on all charisma checks while within 50 miles of their bastion. When a character dies, the character can spend 100 bastion points to return to life in their bastion it's a fucking spawn point, y'all. After spending BP in this way, a character can't do so again until regaining at least one level. It's a spawn point. You can just respawn. Fuck clerics, I guess.
that's wild.
Is D&D too gamey? We asked 5 hunters.
That I don't like. I don't like that.
I mean, I could understand it if you're like level 13 or higher and your party's all like high level people, and then you could be like, oh, we spent a ludicrous amount of money to add this revivify chamber to our castle. But
you're telling me the barbarian with no magic can do that at will?
Well, it is for 100 points and only once a level.
Still.
So to get 100 points at best, you would have to get a 4 every time you rolled for 7 days, which is, what is that, 25? So you'd have to rest for 25 weeks and get a 4 each time when you rolled, but you might be able to get advantage for it using the gold thingy. So that's half a year you'd have to spend to get that many points at the best. At worst, you'd have to spend 100 weeks.
Yep.
Which is several years. Well, almost 2, not several.
I'm not sure I like that. I don't know how I feel about that.
Could be gamed. I like the first one.
The first one's kind of cool. The second one, all right, bastion facilities. When a character gains a bastion, it comes with 2 basic facilities and 2 special facilities. Both types of facilities are explained below. The amount of space in a facility determines its maximum area in 5-foot squares, as per typical D&D. Players can configure these squares in a facility as they please on the bastion map. Squares can be stacked so that a facility's area is distributed over multiple levels or stories. That's kind of cool. And then it has a chart for different.
I just think it's funny that the smallest one is called cramped.
I want a whole bastion that's just 1 floor but sprawling.
What if you did
a wizard's tower?
What's the kids' book series where it was like the school that was a bunch of stories up because they built it? Is it Wayside School?
Oh.
It was like kids' chapter books, and it was like weird things that happened in the school that was built sideways.
I don't know. There is a first chapter book that's called like, it's like something in my weird school, but I don't know if that's it or not. I just want a really long building.
Snake
all sorts of
building.
different things.
This next part is the part I was talking about, which is the build your own dungeon.
Walls?
Player is encouraged to create a floor plan of their character's bastion, configuring the basics and special facilities as they see fit. And it tells you how to add closets and doors and windows and corridors, ramps, and staircases of defensive walls.
So
and how to combine bastions.
How do we equate the space taken up by a 5-foot square in D&D to the blocks in Minecraft so that we can actually build the floor plan of our bastion?
I did it where each square was 5 feet. I would recommend not doing that though. That was kind of cramped on Minecraft.
Hey, cramped. That's one of the things.
The only one there of that list that seems to matter at all is defensive walls. For context, audience, the closets, doors, and windows, and corridors, ramps, and staircases ones largely just say a closet is a place where you can put things. A door is how you enter into a building. Like they're really
windows.
Yeah, the only one that seems to matter and has a big wall of text is defensive walls because it looks like it explains the size of them and how much they cost. and it does stuff. It protects your bastion. Wouldn't you know it?
What if I make a bastion that's just full of dining rooms? There's no kitchen, it's just dining rooms.
True. Cooking. Literally.
No, not cooking. There's no kitchen, it's just dining rooms.
I cook in the second dining room so I can eat in the first one.
With what? Do you just set the table on fire?
If I have to.
I'm just making a bastion that's entirely a courtyard.
True. And then we combine all our bastions and we have several duplicate homes.
A park.
I was thinking we have a...
I was going to say graveyard for the courtyard one. That's what we would have done in Vivia too. We would have had to have
graves in a courtyard.
There would have been 2 people that would have kept graves.
I was about to say we would have had 2 competing graveyards if we had this in Vivia too.
Yeah.
2 very different vibes of graveyards.
The combining bastions will seem pretty self-explanatory. They do it.
If you put them together, they're one now. If they touch, they won.
And you may be thinking, well, what happens about my hirelings that I had? Well, guess what? They're still yours. I don't know why they even had to put a sentence there that said they're still yours, because they are. Do you think you're gonna have shared custody or something? More on the basic facilities. I don't think we need to care. There's rules here for the gold cost, the time required to build stuff, enlarging things. For an idea, to make a cramped thing, it's 500 gold, kind of pricey compared to early levels. To enlarge something very big, it's like 2,000 gold and costs 80 days. Giving you an idea. Good chunk of time, good chunk of money. You can read the stuff for yourself if you want the exact specifics. I don't want to sit here going over minutia.
Yep.
Now we're onto the special facilities, however. A big door. Can still go through it. No.
Although with those charts, like we were saying, the passage of time in D&D is weird. I don't think Wizards quite understands how long some D&D campaigns are. Like Roomy to Vast, 80 days. That's your whole campaign.
Maybe not with the Bastion rule.
Maybe not, but there's some people that are like, oh, we were level 5 and just got this thing, and then we expanded it. We're done with the campaign. Thanks.
Come back. Oh, we were level 5 last time we were here. We're level 13 now. What? Got a bigger room? That's it? Let's see. It goes over the rules again of how to get special facilities and at what levels you get them, which it said much quicker earlier.
Oh, now we're Minecrafting. Look at the orders. Craft, empower, harvest.
True. I'm looking at the hirelings real quick to make sure, but it seems like that's pretty simple as well.
I was going to say, question for the hirelings. Can this be like a sim situation where you put them in there and then remove the doors?
I don't see why not.
I'm planning for Vivia 3 so I can trap Francis in a closet.
Let's talk on that real quick, actually. No. I love the vague nature of what a bastion is considered both in rules and in name. Because, the DM can do whatever they want and it be real. Because this whole time I've been thinking about making, a pocket space so you can just take with you. Or something like that. Something that's easily, constantly accessible. A big moving building, perhaps. A flying one. A train. I don't know. Something like that.
Castle.
And according to the rules so far, all of that is totally feasible. Which means you could, in fact, have, weirdo sims that exist in your thing. Like the DM gives you a place, you go in there, and there's a bunch of people that are like, we're here to serve. We exist solely to serve this place, and that is it. Tell us what to do. And you could do that to them. Who knows? It could be like Pocket God. You drop them in a pool, get rid of the ladder out, and they're stuck there.
So I can trap Francis in a closet.
I think you can.
Yes.
Some people might want it to be more realistic and be like, you have a manor at the, in this estate, in this country, and whatever. And it's like, okay, Grandpa, but no. But we'll continue. We'll talk my continued thoughts on the Grandpa take. We'll touch on that later. For now, let's go back to the Minecraft.
So there's a number of special facilities that are available that can be manned. You've got the Arcane Study. You've got the Armory, Barracks, Garden, Library, sanctuary, smithy, storehouse, workshop, gaming hall, greenhouse. Sorry, I almost said it the British way. Laboratory, sacristy.
I'm assuming some kind of shrine or like holy place.
Scriptorium, stable, teleportation circle, theater, training area, trophy room, archive, meditation chamber, menagerie, observatory, pub, reliquary, demiplane, funny, guild hall, sanctum, and war room.
I'm upset that these aren't in alphabetical order.
I'm also upset they're not in alphabetical order, but
I'm not. I'm fine.
There is an entire list of what all of these rooms can do and what you can do in them below this table.
List, and there's also a table list, which I like. Oh no, those are prerequisites. Never mind.
Yeah, the table tells you what you need to be able to do to build these rooms, or maybe not build them, but make use of them, I suppose. But yeah, so as you could guess, something like, let me just find one. The gaming hall. No prerequisites. It needs to be a vast room. Requires 4 hirelings to man it, and for its order, you can trade, and it generates 1. Okay, so it does. Then they don't all generate 1d4. Look, the gaming hall generates 1d6 BP.
Ah,
so the special facilities generate more than 1d4.
Makes it faster. You can make clerics obsolete faster.
A gaming hall offers recreational activities ranging from chessboards and darts to card games and dice. When you issue to the trade order this facility, you commission the facility's hirelings and make it a gambling den for 7 days. And at the end of the 7th day, sorry, for some reason my brain was like, that's the Bible. When I read at the end of the 7th day.
What? Yeah.
Because on the 7th day.
Oh, yeah.
Roll percentile dice and consult the gambling den winnings to determine your portion of the house's winnings. So yeah, you can just have a gambling den on your, which funnily enough, that is a thing that has already happened in Vivia 3. And so now this is like, I had a homebrew thing for that, and now I can just be like, oh, well, look, I have a table for that now, so I can determine winnings. If I don't want to, work.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's. Let me find one that has a prerequisite. I want to find one that has a prerequisite and read that one.
I'm looking through a lot of them. I'm trying to hit them fast and hard, which also they put it in alphabetical order in the list below. So
the observatory. The prerequisite is you have the ability to use a spellcasting focus. It has to be roomy. It has to have 1 hireling, and you can empower. You can order it to empower. Situated atop your bastion, you have an observatory, big telescope. You can use your observatory to peer into the far corners of wild space in the astral plane, if not the heavens. Whenever you spend an entire long rest in your observatory, you can cast Contact Other Plane within the next 7 days without expending a spell slot. When you issue the Empower order to this facility, you enable yourself or the facility's hireling to explore the eldritch mysteries of the stars for 7 consecutive nights. At the end of that time, roll a die. If the roll number is 7... nothing, or wait, no, that says even, sorry. If the rolled number is even, nothing is gained. If the rolled number is odd, an unknown power bestows one of the following supernatural charms on you. Charm of Dark Vision, Charm of Heroism, and Charm of Vitality. That's cool. I like that they're making use of those charms that in the DMG, they just say, oh, just give these out to players whenever you feel like it, DM. So I like that now they're like, given a little incentive to be like, okay, here's an instance where it might be nice to use these, because I feel like DMs never use those ever. I know I've never used them. But yeah, no, that's interesting. And also it does require, well, based on the rules they're giving for the Bastion, that will require your character to be level 13. Or it would require the Bastion to be level 13, whichever comes first. I don't know. So yeah, assumedly, you would have to be a little bit farther along in the campaign for that. So you would probably have a spellcaster who's pretty in the nose about how to use magic and stuff. So I think that makes sense that they could have a big observatory and peer into the Eldritch Wilds and do stuff like that. That seems cool, and it gives a little bit of flavor. And if you want to do something like that, you can. And you could always, again, this was always allowed. It's just now Wizards has made it a little bit easier by providing some more concrete ruling on it.
Two things. First off, this is like the Spelljammer boats, except for they're doing it correctly this time. Yeah, just have a Bastion. That's the whole UA. They could have done that. I'm surprised they didn't. Must be a different team. Second thing, I just want to hit all the things these can do, because I was reading through those while you were reading everything from that one. I was reading through what all these can do for the actual gameplay.
I want the Poison Garden.
There's a lot that's kind of a little game changing, not super bad, but like could very drastically impact your game. One, crafting arcane focus in books, who cares? Cast Identify, valuable.
Very valuable.
Once within 7 days, still though, valuable, especially with Bastion turns. Archive, you get a book. These books have certain effects. They seem to all give advantage on some sort of intelligence check. All right. Barracks, you can recruit people to defend yourself. Armory, you can recruit people to defend your stuff. Who cares? Demiplane, it's a demiplane. Gaming hall, we're over that one. Also, the demiplane also has fabrication, so you can create little stuff, little non-magical stuff. It's also scry proof. That can be useful if you're in an intrigue game.
I'm hearing panic room.
Yeah. The garden and the garden harvest. And a greenhouse.
Want the poison garden.
Healing herbs or poison herbs. Yeah. Food and decorative as well, which you can sell the decorative ones. It gives rules for how to sell the decorative stuff. The guild hall, that one still is crazy to me. That has a lot of rules.
I love the opening sentence.
Sextant? Oh.
A guild hall comes with a guild, for which you are the guild master.
There's a whole table of like the different guilds you can do. Adventurers Guild, Bakers Guild, Brewers Guild, Cartographers Guild, Entertainers Guild, Jewelers Guild, Masons Guild, Masons Guild, Shipbuilders Guild, and Thieves Guild. And then it has insane assignments you can give them. The smallest one I can see is the Brewers Guild. They deliver 50 40-gallon barrels of ale to your bastion in 7 days. You can sell them 10 gold apiece.
Or drink them all.
Exactly. The other ones seem to be a bit more in depth, but
this is like they just took a tycoon game and then put it in D&D. Now there's D&D Tycoon.
I'm saying it's The Simpsons.
You can manage your bastion and make money and help your characters.
Clash of Clans.
Poisons or potions. There's a meditation chamber which gives you fortify self, which gives you a saving throw that gets fortified for 7 days. The next 7 days, chosen randomly. Menagerie, you can recruit creatures. Yeah, you can recruit little creatures. 4 large, 4 large, and then 4, it's like a pint. 4 large, but 4 small or mediums occupy the size of 1 large.
And then it gives you a list of menagerie creatures. Apes, bears, snakes, crocodiles, giant scorpions and giant vultures, jackals, lions.
Me with my entire menagerie filled with exclusively black bears.
I figured being the way you were, you would say rats.
That's not an option.
It could be.
Could you stack them so that they qualify as large?
It does say after that, at the DM's option, you can add different creatures than those shown to your menagerie.
I'm doing it. There's a pub. You can
Victor's
make tasty
rat
drinks.
menagerie.
True. It would be called the Ratagerie.
It's like a myth in his family that's like, our founder Victor always said that the rats brought him luck.
Yes, of the Spider Queen. You get to use the Spider Climb spell for 24 hours at your pub.
Wow.
The pub gives you spell effects, pretty much.
Bigby's Burden.
Yeah. There's a reliquary. You can harvest it. What? You get a little talisman. Okay. The sacristy. You can craft holy water or sacred item. It gives a list of some of them, like a pearl of power. Sanctuary, cast healing word. Ha ha, cleric.
I feel so attacked right now.
You cast it over 7 days if it makes you feel better.
I still feel so attacked right now.
Oh.
No, it's after spending a long rest in the Bastion, you can cast Healing Word once without spending a spell slot within the next 7 days.
Bite
Also,
me.
You get a free one.
the Sanctum also lets you just cast heal, and it's a recall. When you cast Word of Recall, you just go back to the Sanctum. That's a
I hate
70
it
level
here.
one.
I hate it here.
What you're telling me is that Saladin, Dylan's character in Vivia 2, pretty much
Made
made a bastion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did.
With
Made a
extra
little
steps.
bastion. Yeah.
There's the Scriptorium. You make scrolls. Smithy. You can craft stuff, weapons and whatnot. Stable. Horse. Storehouse. Teleportation circle. Those are getting pretty obvious. Theater. You can hire
I hardly
theater
know
people.
her.
Why was that so close to
For comedic effect.
I'm trying to see what the heck the theater really does.
Not once per turn, excuse me. Training area is pretty interesting.
A character. Oh, I'm reading what theater truly does. When you can rehearse a show, and after the rehearsal, you spend a theater die to add the number. It's a bardic inspiration by going to play practice.
Amazing.
That's really funny. Now the training area. What does it do, Levi?
The training area basically just gives you little buffs to combat after you train. So you can hire certain trainers to train you, and then obviously you train for a week, and that benefit lasts for a week. So the battle expert, for instance, if you get trained by the battle expert, once per turn when you take damage from an attack made with an unarmed strike or a weapon, you can reduce the damage by 1d4, provided you aren't incapacitated. Weapon expert, you can choose a simpler martial weapon, such as a spear or longbow. If you aren't proficient with it, you gain proficiency for the next 7 days. Although apparently you forget after a week how to...
Yeah.
Although, a cool thing, if you already have proficiency, you can use its mastery property for the next 7 days. So if you're not a fighter, you can use the fighter's mastery stuff for a week. Because someone taught you briefly how to.
Yeah.
And then you forget somehow. That's a little interesting, but I understand they're trying to do it like you can't have it forever, but it is a little weird that it's like, oh, but you forget after 7 days. I guess that would be a way to be like, oh, you got to keep up on your training. And then obviously if you do it enough over and over again, then the DM could be like, okay, maybe now you've got it ingrained in you after you've done it 5, 6, 7 weeks in a row, maybe.
Yep. And then the rest that remain are, okay, the trophy room seems cool because you can tell your hirelings to research lore. So you can be like, hey, we're going out to study this rock. Come back and they'll be like, I know so much. Like, there's also a trinket trophy you can do as well. And the war room and the workshop seem pretty basic. War room, you get despite its cool name, you get to just hire some very strong protectors, basically. And the workshop, you get to craft non-magical stuff. Cool, but not as cool as the others, I don't think. Maybe an in-game might be cooler. No, Jordan, kill our Bastion, please.
I was hoping you would say that. If a character issues no orders to their Bastion for a number of consecutive Bastion turns equal to the character's level, typically because the character is dead or otherwise out of commission, the hirelings abandon the Bastion and the site is eventually looted. If the character returns later, they have the option to start a new Bastion, perhaps building it amid the ruins of the old one. A character can also give their Bastion up anytime, releasing the Bastion's hirelings and abandoning the location. The divested, that is what that says. The divested Bastion is quickly vacated, eventually looted, and might even be burned to the ground. The character has the option of starting a new Bastion elsewhere. The burn to the ground thing really made me giggle.
That the player character just like sent a note back and it's like, all right, guys, we're moving to a different location. That's all it says. No. It's just like, okay, guys, we're moving out. The NPCs read it and they're like, all right, guys, torch the place. Like,
It's the Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, the vacuum cleaner.
yeah.
I forget what it's called, the one he calls for each time, but it's that. Okay. And we're getting close to this UA, or the end of this UA, actually, surprisingly. We haven't even touched on cantrips yet.
Yeah.
Um,
This is going to be like 1 page.
yeah. Bastion events. This is the one I'm probably most interested in, honestly. Let's see. When you do the maintain order Bastion turn thingy, the DM rolls once on the Bastion events table. I think as a DM, I would just have a player do that each time and just go down like a line or something.
Yeah.
Be more fun, I think. But anyway, even if it occurs, the DM reads the event. Yeah. And as a result, okay, yeah, sure. Wait. The DM can even decide to turn a Bastion event into a sort of cutscene if people are not present. That's funny. So you can have the players act as the hirelings if they're somewhere else. Yeah, that's funny.
Interesting. That's funny.
Here's some of the Bastion events. It's a D20. Yeah. 1 through 9, nothing. 10, attack. 11, 12, lost hirelings. I don't like that it's called lost because that implies something malicious. I imagine instead that they just like weren't cut out for the job.
You guys receive it at the beginning of the session. Oh, you guys receive a letter from a raven. What's it say? We lost John and Dave. Signed, Greg.
They had gone into the basement with the mirror.
Or they just wandered off into the woods,
told
couldn't
us
find their way
about?
back.
That mirror in the basement? Yeah, we didn't go to look for them. They're down there, though, somewhere.
Refugees.
Refugees.
Yeah.
For the listeners.
I mean, yeah, that could be interesting. Friendly visitors, a request for aid. Honored guest, that sounds cool. Extraordinary opportunity. Good luck with that one, DM. Criminal hireling. That's really funny. Stole your prized family possession from you while you were gone. And then magical discovery for a 20. Okay. There are some descriptions here. Of all of them, most of them I get.
Yeah.
I would do want to read the extraordinary opportunity description it's offering, though. And you guys, if you want, you can read other ones.
The criminal hireling isn't what you would think.
It's not.
Criminal hireling is your hireling has a criminal past and someone came to get them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not taken from you, but they're bringing trouble home, pretty much. You can retain the hireling by paying a bribe.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, the hireling is arrested and taken
funny.
away.
The shortened opportunity was not as cool as I thought it was. It says that you gain extra Bastion points. You have to spend gold to do things such as host a festival, fund research of a spellcaster, appease a domineering noble, or etc.
Yeah, I think that I think that this is a good opportunity for the DM, because I know a problem I have always had as a DM, which I'm still kind of struggling with preparing for my 3rd campaign, is creating side quests that don't really have impact on the main quest at all, but can still be interesting and maybe a little bit fun. I feel like this is a good way to do that, where it's like, oh, you guys are at like a stopping point in the main story where like you don't really need to maybe charge on ahead right now. Well, you got a letter back from home that says some guy came and he said he wants to arrest I don't know, I'm trying to think of a name, Steve. And you guys all really like Steve. You really like Steve. He was really nice to you and he's like managing your castle for you. Crap, we got to go home and save Steve.
I don't like Steve.
Well, the rogue
going to make sure
doesn't
the
like
bribe
Steve,
doesn't get through.
You're the one that called the bounty hunter on Steve.
So yeah, I think it could be, it can add little droplets of flavor into the campaign. It can add little side quests and stuff. It can help DMs like me who have trouble doing stuff that's not just the main thing. Yeah, I like it. I would say if you're a little timid about maybe you don't want always something to actually happen, that's when I would have the DM roll it, because then even if something does happen, you can just be like, oh, I got a 1 through 9, guys. But Because then if you don't want something to happen, but you're letting the players roll it, you are committing to something might happen, and then you might have to shoehorn something in whether you want it or not. But at the same time, you're consenting to that by letting your players roll it. So you have to live with that once you've decided to do that as a DM. So be prepared for it if you do that.
Looking at the honored guest tab, I can only think of the Briarwoods. I know that's not any of the options on the table, I don't think, but that is the only thing I can think of.
I think of malicious baddies. No, not like this. Yeah. I think first off, I think the best way to strike the balance is if players present in Bastion, they roll. If player not present in Bastion, DM roll, and then you can just lie if you roll something like something crazy. Attack.
Mm-hmm.
Just lie if you want to.
Fudge rolls, we would never do that.
It seems Levi has found something alarming based on.
I read ahead. I'm sorry.
What did you
Don't
read
quit
at?
it. Shut up.
Yeah, no,
we're not done here.
I read something really, really terrifying, and I need to get. Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
You
We're
found
not
the
there.
spooky for the spooky month episode.
Yep.
Now, here's my thing though. That I will give about the Bastions. They did not answer. I waited until we read through the whole thing, and they did not quite answer. Was cool and all, but it seems to me that it's rare you're not going to have a party constantly on the move. How do you address that without doing what I say and have a mobile base?
Yeah, I think that's been our problem in the past, because we haven't had a Bastion, but we've had like places before. Like Levi owns a house in Olympus, but we're only there every so often because we're not there.
Yep.
You don't stay in a place for long as an adventurer.
Also,
this is all cool.
Viewers, I don't own a house on Mount Olympus in the real world. I own a house in a Greek-themed campaign named Olympus. That's
technically your boyfriend owns it right now, but
well, yeah, he does all the work. So, I'm just out saving the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had a fight over it. He was mad that I was saving the world, but
True. That's my problem. I can understand some people can put this to good use, but I can also see this as being a trap for some people. I can totally see a DM spending an insane amount of time on this just for the players to go once and never again.
Yeah. I think it is a good thing to have as like a Zanny's or like a Tasha's, where it's like, here's this thing you can use if you want, where it's a big like supplementary thing that doesn't necessarily ever have to actually come up on how it's used. But if you do get into it, if your players are really interested in owning a castle, or they want to maybe be the leaders of a guild or something like that, then you can be like, okay, break out the Bastions UA. Let's get into it. But yeah, no, I agree with your critique, but I do really like I think this is really cool, and it seems like it could be really fun if your party is like invested in doing it.
So the thing that I was thinking whenever we were looking at the fall of a Bastion and they specified like, oh, it'll probably fall into disrepair if your character dies, I immediately thought of how pets work in D&D. How you get them and everybody's really, really excited. And then it's been a month and nobody's mentioned the cat that we bought 4 levels ago.
Yeah.
Like
that's how I felt about it too when I was thinking about it. It's an afterthought after a while. But it's a thing, because in D&D, you're mostly there to play D&D, but every now and again D&D you're like, oh yeah, I have agency, and you decide like I'm gonna go do something like buy a pet or buy a house. So sometimes you just want to do Sims in D&D.
That's what shopping episodes are for.
But it's not something sustainable like this is, because this requires constant dedication, and most D&D players aren't there for that unless it's just D&D, not D&D the house building expansion.
I do also think we are basing this mainly off of our experiences as players and DM, which is, again, like I said way back at the beginning, our play style is we like to have a big overarching story that's like high stakes, go do the thing, save the world, you're heroes, do that thing. We like that generally. That we all have our different ways of doing it, but generally that's roughly what all of our stories we've told have been. But there are also like people who might just want to just be adventurers that exist in a world that's maybe not undergoing an apocalypse at the moment. So they go out and they kill a troll that the nearby village has been having problems with, and they go back to their castle for the week.
I know that's
Stuff
how
like
my
that.
dad plays some campaigns. They have like a castle and they just go out and do like quests occasionally, but there's
Yeah.
not, I'm sure there is an overarching plot, but it's less like we
It's
are
less
swiftly
urgent.
moving towards the
Yeah.
end point
It doesn't
and more
drive
like
quick action that keeps you away from
Yeah.
something like this,
Well,
which is
whereas
how we normally play.
it is not like uncommon for us to accidentally teleport across the continent sometimes.
Yeah.
In literally any we do that in every campaign. That's I've noticed that's a trope. It's become a trope in our games that just like accidental
tropes.
continental teleporting has become a thing.
TV tropes, pick it up. That's the name of the term. Accidental continental teleporting.
Coined it.
Act,
It
if
was
you
my
will.
idea. I named it.
Act. Yeah, that it is called act.
I'd rather call that than the ACT. Yeah, we'll see. I agree. I think it's best used in an optional case, and it could be used. One day I would like to play a campaign that's not an overarching plot and is just you exist in the world, go
Like
do
sandbox.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find it hard to do something like that, but I'd like to try it one day.
That's the one Taryn will DM.
Yeah.
Or we can do that, like just have like a month of downtime in a campaign and be like, all right, sandbox time, guys.
Yeah.
That's hard though. That's really hard.
It is.
To do
It is.
sandbox in the middle of a story. No one's interested in the sandbox. Everyone wants the story usually.
This is making me want to try something like it now in Vivia 3. But again, I would just have to like try to make that a thing in the story, which is like, here's a point in the story where the people you're working against aren't also going to be doing something very quickly. So you both have time to just sit.
Maybe
That
there's
doesn't
a set
work.
of maybe there's
It
a set of like
work.
time locked circumstances. Something can't happen until a certain
Yeah. I mean, it would take some greasing of the wheels to figure out how to make it work.
It would take a lot because when D&D players hit a dead wall, they usually try to go through it, not sit and wait for the wall to move.
True.
They will go explore somewhere, follow a lead, a fake lead, who knows?
Okay. So I think overall, we give this a general thumbs up. This seems fun. We just have a couple critiques of why it might situationally not be. The state of the game as it is played right now makes it seem like it wouldn't be as favorable to 5e as it could be. But I do also think that them adding something like this is them trying to encourage a new style of play.
It's cool and new. It makes me think of video games like Dark Souls, where you have a home area, like the Hirelings Shrine, or like what's a better example? There's other ones there. You have like a home area like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or like Fallout.
True.
Yeah.
I like the idea of you just have like I still like the pocket bastion. You have it in like a teleport, so you just like plop it down, walk in, and you're like, oh hey, Dan the Smith. Like, can I have a sword? We're getting ready to go fight something.
No, Gooby Rama.
Yeah, true. Yeah, see, they're Simlish. My brain thing is percolating, but I don't know. I think generally good.
Can we very briefly touch on cantrips?
Oh, well, that's the next part, yeah.
Can we immediately jump to the thing that I want to talk about, or do we have to go from the top to the bottom?
What do you want to
We
talk
gotta
about?
look at the design note. Jordan has to read it.
Okay. Spell descriptions. Design note for cantrips. Here are the main updates to the spells in this section. Acid Splash now creates a 5-foot radius sphere that can affect any creature caught in it. They changed the spell classification for some reason. School changes unites the spell with sorcerer and withers other direct damage acid spells. Blade Ward is now a reaction that imposes disadvantage on melee attack rolls. Chill Touch is now a touch spell. Chill Touch is now a touch spell.
They fixed it.
No.
They fixed it.
No.
They did make the spell that had touch in the name a touch spell.
I hate it. Chill Touch is now a touch spell that deals 1d10 damage rather than 1d8. That's fine, but it's not a touch spell. And it no longer has the rarely used undead specific effect. I hate you, wizards. It's my favorite cantrip and you ruined it.
But
Get
you're
touched.
ignoring that they made Blade Ward pretty good.
I don't care. They ruined my favorite cantrip. Friends now forces the target to make a save against being charmed. Poison spray now has a range of 30 feet rather than 10. It uses an attack roll instead of a saving throw. Also now has necromancy rather than conjuration. Produce flame is a bonus action, but the attack portion is still an action. That's odd. The range of the light has increased to 20 feet. The range of attack has increased to 60. This attack also can target creatures or objects. Shillelagh improves at higher levels and gives you the option of dealing force or weapons normal type damage. That's cool. Shocking Grasp now shuts down opportunity attacks rather than all reactions. Shutting down all reactions is too powerful for a cantrip. This cantrip has always been meant to provide a partial disengage, which it still does in this version. Like other lightning spells, the spell no longer makes distinctions about whether the target is wearing metal. Spare the Dying is now a ranged rather than a touch spell. Okay, that I'm not mad about.
Just did it for everyone now.
And the range increases as you level up.
That's
nice.
pretty good.
Oh wait, that doesn't that kind of wreck one of the features of the
Yes.
rip. This is all now
what?
on the druid. That's one of the
spore.
No, it's
Grave
Cleric.
It's Grave Cleric. Yeah,
Grave Cleric can spare the dying at a distance, and that was like
30
one of
feet.
their features.
I forgot about that.
Yep.
And True Strike, the one that we've all been waiting for. True Strike is now an attack with a weapon that uses your spellcasting ability rather than your strength or dex.
They made it decent.
I did read this. I read this one ahead.
I can't believe it.
Way back when I first discovered this was a new update, I went and I scrolled all the way down and read that, and that was it.
This was how you introduced the idea. You were like, they fixed it. They fixed True Strike.
They made True Strike okay.
Yeah.
And gave it a reason to be used.
I'm still mad about Chill Touch, though.
And the weapon damage can be radiant or the weapon's damage type. And it scales with level up to a maximum of 3d6. Oh, wait, extra 3d6 plus your weapon.
Wow.
That's okay.
I'm baffled. They did it. They did the impossible. All transgressions before this are forgiven. No, they're not. No, they're not forgiven.
No, fix Chill Touch.
But it took them 9 years to fix True Strike.
This to me is proving that even though you're slow as a snail, wizards, you can do it. You have it in you deep down. That love that you once had when you first bought D&D from Gygax himself. He opened the box like that one video of Phil Swift opening the box of Flex something to Jontron. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, he did that for you. And you had that love for the game once, and I know you can do it again. This is proof right here to me. You might have made several awful, horrible mistakes, but you can fix them.
Okay,
also,
now I want to know what the terrifying thing was.
I just no, it was that. It was True Strike. It was that they fixed True Strike, and they somehow managed to make it all right. Also, the thing about Spare the Dying that I thought of is maybe for the Grave Cleric, they just get an extra 30 feet now that's tacked onto that. So their range
is double the range.
Their range is just like mega huge for that. They can just go from like halfway across a battlefield and spare the dying on someone. That's what I would
I'll
do.
vibe with.
Yeah.
Oh my god, then we can retroactively say that it makes sense that Neb didn't immediately die in the first combat.
You were just briefly in 1D&D, a very specific future update.
Oh, but also, yeah, how about Shillelagh letting you deal force damage?
That's exactly very aggressively all right.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
Also, I never realized that Shocking Grasp was intended to shut down reactions, apparently.
No,
but
I didn't
it was.
know that.
And now I have realized that, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should, like, if I'm ever playing a wizard, I should use that more.
I mean, I'm looking at it. Few cantrips matter This has made some of them matter a little bit more, but it still doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
They're not your bread and butter most of the time, unless you're a warlock.
Yeah.
Or unless it's spare the dying. I'm very happy with the change to spare the dying.
Yeah, it's all right.
all around, I mean, they didn't make any of them busted. They didn't make any of them game changing, but they did make, it seems, most of the cantrips generally better.
Yep.
At least okay. So that's a thumbs up from me.
Whoever made this UA, whatever design team made this one, put them in charge.
Yep.
Let them have a crack at the actual juice, the meat.
They did something that was fun, and they did something that was at least all right.
Let them have a crack. Let them try it. Let them try balancing the classes that the rest of your team has failed.
Maybe
trust me, they have.
this person did the rogue.
Never mind.
We liked the rogue updates.
I don't think we did.
I think
Yeah.
Pertuset thought they were the right direction, but he didn't necessarily like them. He thought they should have done more, which I think I also
agreed. But it was like the redeeming thing out of that UA.
They had begun to move it in a little bit more of a better direction, which we might see that, and then that might be the next one. That might the revised rogue might be the next one that comes out.
We need Druid to come back. We need Rogue to come back, and a few others that haven't been done a second time.
Yep. It could be the ultimate comeback. They could actually, when is this supposed to come out?
What?
The book, the new PHB, 2024.
Yeah. Sometime
okay, they have very little time.
Yeah, they do.
They have very little time to turn this entire parade around.
Unless they push it back, which, well, Cyberpunk learned about releasing an unfinished product.
Yup.
Alright then. Well,
that's all I'm gonna say about that.
The PHB is right behind you.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed the episode you just listened to. If you really like our content, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications on YouTube, and look for us on Spotify. If you'd like to see us continuing to do more fun projects in the future, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can find our page linked in the description above all of our other social media links. And finally, if you'd like to keep up with the zany shenanigans of our lives and check out some more skit-based content and things like that, check us out on Twitter and TikTok, links in the description. And hey, thanks!